you can follow along through those, take some notes, some very helpful things in our current state of our market. So we do have some joining us online, and we are recording this as well for anybody who wants to reference it later. But we are just so glad that you chose to join us here, especially during the middle of July, during a busy summer, and when you have so many other options of things to do, both selling houses and family vacations, and wonderful things outdoors. So thank you for taking the time, investing in your business for about an hour on this beautiful summer day. And then finally, we want to just give a big thank you. Who enjoyed the salads? Was it not? So that was put together by our very own Christy. So make sure to thank Christy for the wonderful job she did on that. We keep on joking with her. You keep on doing such a great job on this. You know, you might find an additional role for yourself moving forward. So she really knocked it out of the park, and hope you enjoyed all that. And there's plenty, so feel free to if you want to step out or have more at any time, whatever. That's totally fine with us. Or take a bowl to go, because we don't want a bunch of leftovers. We don't know what we'll do with them. So, all right. I think I covered all of our wonderful announcements. You guys ready to get started? All right. I feel a little more energy in the room today, and that's good. I like that when we get started. So we are going to go through a couple different things. We have a very in-depth market analysis, mid-year market analysis we want to go through with you guys. Again, arming you with all that information so that you can be the expert for your clients. We encourage you to take this information, share it with your clients. That just continues to teach them that you are the go-to resource for them. Teach them to go to you, not to some other website or any of those other resources that they might know. And you do that by continuing to feed them with this great information. Then we're going to go through some tactics for our market right now. And those tactics, will go through the goals of those and how those tactics will help you with explosive growth later on, and as the market continues to grow, so in future years. So, and during that time too, we got Jeff Timmer from LMCU here, and he's going to talk to you about a few different options out there to really help your client understand that you know what they're going through and that you care about that, and that you want to make sure that they know all of the potential solutions and options for them with the current challenges they're facing in the market. And who won't want to hire an agent out there, right? Who understands and empathizes with their clients and has gone now far enough to be proactive enough to know about additional solutions and also be able to connect them with a person who can help them with that, to ultimately help them with their goals, maybe help them reach their goals by spending a little less money doing it too, right? All good things, right? Okay, I got head nodding. I'll take head nodding today. That's good. All right. Thumbs up, you know, whatever works. My clicker's not working, which is really disappointing for me because I like to move around, and no matter what I do, it's not working. All right. Thank you. Maybe I'll signal. All right. Okay, so this is obviously our reset meeting. We're in our reset quarter. And we have been focusing on the theme throughout the year of equipping you to be unshakable. So we know there's lots of media out there. We've talked about it before. We know there's lots of talk about what's going to happen in our industry, what's going to happen in our market, what's going to happen just in the country as a whole, the economy as a whole. And so what we want to do is equip you to be unshakable, not let those things bother you, because you can choose not to participate. Most of the times, those things that are happening in the market are more between our ears, right? Then we have a lot more control than we actually realize. So that's our continued theme. Continue to think of that. We'll talk about it in every meeting moving forward. And since you're already chosen to invest here in this time with us to learn to be unshakable, there's other great opportunities to do that. And just one we wanted to quickly mention before we move on is the Fall Sales Conference. Coming up September 7 and 8, it's
up in Mackinac Island. It is at the beautiful Mission Point Resort this year. So right on the waterfront, a bit of a change from the Grand Hotel. Really, really nice. That QR code up there, that will take you to more information and the opportunity to register. Going to be a great event to be able to see the speakers that will be there. There's a really cool golf outing. If for those of you who like to golf, it involves a horse and carriage ride with your clubs to get to the golf course. But it's actually the oldest operating golf course in Michigan. So then you can go and tell all your clients and your friends about that activity too. So going to be a lot of fun. As always, Ian's going to offer a lot of value to you and your business. Anybody who registers will be getting some broker bucks from us as well. So make sure you take care of that opportunity. Again, for those of you who don't know about broker bucks, ask somebody who's next to you. They'll talk to you about the great auction we have at the end of the year. Fall sales conference.
Yeah.
Okay.
Excited to see you guys up there. It's always a fun time.
It's gonna be amazing. And the cool thing about Mission Point is they do have some larger rooms. So if maybe the family wants to go out for a few days, they want to bring some kids, they even dogs. So if you don't want to board your dog, they have rooms where you can take your dog. Like I've worked there. I have. All right, let's go into the market update. You guys, I said this last time too, but you know, is it okay if we just kind of geek out on stats for just a little bit to help you? Yeah. All right. 5,021. Let's see. Ooh, I wish it was listings. We would have all our buyers would be satisfied getting all the homes that they want, right? This is actually the number of homes sold in the first half of the year in our market. All right. So now that is actually a little bit down from 2021. 12% down. We expect that trend to continue moving forward, of being about 12% down in overall transactions throughout the year. Now, here's some historical data of sales and when they happen in which months. This is for all of Michigan. This is from decades of documentation. Typically, by the end of June, about 47% of all sales have been completed for the year. Great news about that. 53% more to come, right? So if that's our number in the next 6 months, that means we'll be at about 5,600 homes between July and December. Follow that trend, right? So there is still a ton of business to be had. Is it quite as high as last year? Not quite as high. So we will probably be about 1,500 to 1,800, maybe 2,000 homes less this year in overall sales in our market. And we'll talk a little bit more about that moving forward, so you get a good understanding of what that means for your business. So obviously, if we're not selling quite as many homes, we're selling it at a little bit slower rate. Now, people talk about days on market all the time, about how fast our homes selling, and that's great. That's good information to know. But for you and for your businesses, where the amount of sales you have, the total revenue coming in from those sales on your commission dollars, it's important that number of units that you're doing as well, and the amount of units that are available out there for you to be able to grab as market share, right? So currently, this year, we're seeing 28 homes sell per day. If we were to average it all out, obviously we got busy seasons, slow season, all of that. But that's actually the slowest pace since 2011. So this is just a good thing to know. Everybody's talking about real estate's crazy still, right? It's still crazy because prices are going up as well. Sales just aren't going at the same pace. So it's something that we want to keep in mind and pay attention to this trend. And then what happens after this trend, right? Where do we go? What do we do about it? Average sales price. So far this year, what we're averaging. Now last month, we averaged up in the 350s. Interestingly enough, in April, we almost averaged 360. It's come down the last 2 months. So that's another trend we're paying attention to. So it's come down about 10 grand on average. Now this is the average throughout the whole year. That number is obviously the average for a whole market. Something that we provide to you and something that you'll get a copy of today as well. Obviously, it's not consistent across different areas and different school districts, right? So this is something that you want to pay attention to. We've talked about it before. Look at Forest Hills or Eastern Rapids. Eastern Rapids almost at $770 for an average sale price, all the way down to $190. So it's a wide range. This is information. Everybody's got the average sale price right across our market. This type of information sets you apart. This is more detailed than anybody else has. So make sure you have this at the ready and you're able to use it as a quick reference. Even if you just have it, you're able to present it to show that you are a true expert. Now that average sale price is right around $338. That's actually a 13.5% increase from last year. So why this is interesting to us is one, we'll cover a couple of reasons why. First, let me go to, so again, that's not consistent across the school districts either. We're ranging upwards of 29% all the way down to 10.10. So again, it's great to have that general information, but what sets you apart is when you get into the details. You guys will have access to all this right after the meeting. We got a great little QR code to scan, and then you'll have it all right on your phone. So don't worry if you don't catch all this information right now, because we want to keep it moving for you. Now we mentioned all of those sales, the sales being lower this year, 12% lower than last year. So what's interesting about that is this is what our total sales volume in our market has been at the end of June, as of the end of June. Any guesses on how that compares to 2021? Almost the exact same. Bingo. Tim, Grover Buck for Tim. So that is 100% right. We are nearly the exact same. Obviously because of that value increase, right? Right? So for your businesses, that means the same amount of revenue or the same amount of money in the market based off of commissions has been out there this year versus last year. And I'm going to explain why that's an important bit of information, because I'm getting lots of questions about one particular subject, especially from veteran agents, and we'll touch on that in just a second. But keep that in mind, sales volume virtually the exact same as last year. Okay, continuing on. Let's talk about a few trends that are going to be important for you and important for you to use and keep these in mind too when we start getting to our second section of the meeting, because this may get your wheels spinning a little bit on some communications you might have with either clients or your sphere, those types of things. This is all the way back to March of 2021. And this is how far above listing price on average in our market buyers are having to pay in order to secure the home. Really interesting. Last year we peaked in June. This year we peaked in April. Funny enough, that's also where we peaked with our highest sales price of the year by about 10 grand averaging in that month. We have been trending downward since that. So, and we are continuing to trend downward this month. So something to keep in mind when communicating to both your buyers and your sellers, right? So things are changing. We talked about that before, but it's something that you want to make sure you're communicating to everybody. Again, that varies according to area. Super detailed information, but this is the list to sold price ratio. So you can do the calculations on the different areas and get a good idea, especially when you're trying to dial in for that particular seller, that particular buyer in a certain area and figure out, it's just that average, a lot of them go, well, this home is different, right? Or what is this area looking like? And so you want to make sure you can be specific on the particular area. Of course, all of this is available to you in our nice market quick reference sheet. It doesn't come in the graphs, Unless you scan the bottom QR code, and then you'll get all those graphs that you can use as well. We'll give you this sheet afterwards. You can scan it now if you want. I'll leave it up for a second. But that market summary quick reference guide, that'll also be on the sheet printed out for you already. So you can have that as a wonderful tool. Also, just a complete side note, great to have at open houses, especially if you highlight the particular school district that home is in. Great thing if you're door knocking, especially if you're inviting people to an open house, highlight that school district, leave that with them. Also a great thing to send to your past clients, highlight their school district. We put this out quarterly, send it to them, mail it to them and say, hey, great news about what happened with your home over the last 12 months and the value on it. Couple more trends. Is this stuff that you guys feel like you can use? There's some things that you can talk with your clients about or potential clients about? Good. So, you know where this graph comes from?
Sorry.
Broker bucks for rates.
Shirley gets it. She gets it.
Absolutely. So,
Thank you.
we publish this sometimes, but this is available at Showing Time's website. They have it for nearly every single state. You want to go to Canada, sell houses in Canada, just about every province. Or you can take a look at it from the entire country. And so really interesting to track trends, really interesting to see like when the holidays hit, and we got any guesses, maybe we'll get some holidays along there, and what happens to buyer activity. Also a great tool to use when you want to go on vacation for that holiday and that seller really wants to put it up all of a sudden, and you can say, well, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, just so you know, buyer activity tends to. So anyways, that's something that you can use it for. But what's important to us, we're tracking these trends. Over the course of the year, across the country, buyer activity has been averaging about 30% below last year's average. Right now, it's currently at about 25%. So another important thing to know for both the sellers out there that, hey, buyer activity is slowing. We don't hold quite all the cards as we used to, right? That's changing a little bit, but also a good thing to mention to buyers that, hey, there's a little less competition out there. Maybe we can get you that home that you like. You may pay a little bit more, but maybe we'll get you the actual one you want versus just a home, right? A place to live. Now, interesting, Michigan is more like 15 to 16% forward. So we mentioned that only because we haven't felt the full brunt of this yet in our businesses, but we do anticipate that this will probably start coming our way and our buyer activity will start slowing down a little bit more. So make sure that you're not letting those buyer leads currently right now slip through the cracks. You know, it got easy when it was like, oh man, I'm never going to find you a home anyways, or I can't take on another one. I'm already jumping 6 of them and showing all these houses. You're going to want to hold on to them because there is more opportunity out there and there's going to be less buyers coming in your future. So keep that in mind. And here's what you can show them, especially if you're calling some of those past buyers who maybe got a little worn out. Listings almost at 1,100. I wish, Jim, like you said, they were at 5,000. We'd have plenty of homes to sell. But this is unique because last year when we peaked in August, we we're at about 870. And we've already blown well past that this year. And so we do expect this trend to continue as well because of so many other things going on in our economy. But a great graph to be able to explain to somebody why they might want to get out there again, but also a great graph to talk to your sellers about why it may not sell in 14 days like it did before, or why it's sitting a little bit right now, or why we can't just shoot for the moon like we used to on prices. There is more competition. Buyers have more options than what they did even just a couple of months ago. It's doubled in the last couple of months, the amount of homes out there. Questions on any of that with the listings? Let's just talk real briefly then. Oh, Jim.
Is that last graph break it out with price ranges? Break that out. I mean, I've seen listings LLC billing sale price.
So, yes, there's a great, on the MLS, there's a great little price range report you can run. We can send you a little video on that, just so you know, on average, and also just so you know, on the Monday message that we put out, it'll say how many listings below 350, and you do the math on how many over that. So last week, I believe it was around 430 below 350, which is more than what we've been averaging. Usually it's been in the mid threes. So great question, but yes, there is a great report if you guys want that. And it will also list how many days on market those in each one of those price ranges have been. So really useful tool. So we used to produce it every week. Nobody downloaded it, so it's not. So, but it's a really useful tool. All right. Consumer price index. Last month, 9.1. Ooh. That's rough, isn't it? That is some high inflation. And that doesn't include housing in it, right? Even though that's gone up, 13.5% in our area, 15% across the country. So what does this mean to us? Well, we've been hearing about the Fed all the time. They do meet again in July. We fully expect that that's going to change things again. I think they meet the 26th and 27th, like that. Jeff probably knows. Yeah.
Expectation is raising. So that's pricing.
Yeah, so that's a great point. It's a lot of the mortgage, the lenders, mortgage companies, they've already kind of anticipated this. They know this is coming, and a lot of that's already been built into the rates that you're seeing right now. So the reason we bring this up is you may get some questions, especially from your current buyers who are looking, wondering, and that you can't make promises, but just know that you're aware of this information, be able to talk them through it, answer those questions, and not to be surprised by this number or giving some people some concern. But they are trying very hard to bring that inflation number down. Okay. So anyways, that's kind of what's going on right now. We talked about some of those trends. Let's talk about some things moving forward so that we can bring you some positive news and leave you on the upswing from all of this. I think there's a lot of good in there. And the key thing too is taking that information and using it with your clients, because other agents aren't, and that's going to help you with that market share growth. That's what's going to keep you from taking a dip like a market taking a dip or shrinking. So forecast for this year, you can see this is for across the country, right around 13% for sales being down. We're pretty much on par that with 12%, right? Value increases, if you were to just average out the entire year you're anticipating, it's going to probably finish around 7% this year. In July, we're seeing that here as well. We track it monthly, and from May to June, we look at the 12-month value increase, it was about 13% May to May, but when we looked at June to June, it's only 9.9. So that's starting to come down. Prices are not growing as fast as they once were. Next year, what you guys care about more? Probably going to be about the same in unit sales. Margin there, maybe a little lower, a little higher. But that home price increase is something that you guys want to know about. It's going to be closer to 4, and that's a lot closer to more historic levels. And so, not something for homeowners to be worried about. Just for those that are especially new, these were just out of this world value increases for the last 2 years. So we're just trending back to normal. Tim.
But even when I ran the averages over the 30-some years I've been doing this, it comes down to under 4% value overall that time, even including these 12, 13. Right. So I preach that, and then what I was always taught is a home will double its value every 15 years. Okay, that's a 5% increase. Yep. So just kind of use those numbers as that's historical.
Yeah, and that's perfect. And the other thing why we want you to have this information is so you can answer those questions, especially those buyers going, I feel like I'm paying a lot for this. And what's gonna happen in the next couple of years to my home value, right? They wanna know, and at least you can answer with a positive number, right? All expectations are pointing towards historic growth rates, right? And you can point to what that is. Taking it a little further, and obviously, these are from the top 100 economists out there. You know, so when you project a little bit further forward, the accuracy does go down a little bit, but we're seeing very similar numbers as we push into further years. Again, the good news is these are positive numbers, right? So we expect that to continue, and again, close to historic levels.
And keep this in mind too, that's on average. So you might be at a listing appointment that isn't going to see that or hasn't seen that, and maybe you did touch a little bit on the negative. But there has to be a negative for there to be a positive.
Absolutely.
So keep that in mind. And I think that school district's graph is money right there. That is really what moves our markets. People pay attention to the school districts. And that's really what drives our market. So watching the increases in the school districts is
And I think that's a great point. You can take these numbers and say, okay, some homes are gonna be a little bit more of this, some are gonna be a little bit below. You can take a look at some of those school district graphics and kind of figure out what might be a little bit higher, what might be a little bit lower, and give you a good educated guess. Oh, okay. Yep. Repeat the question. We'll repeat the questions.
Or the comments, so that soon people can.
That's perfect. Yes. So, and then, you know, that's kind of, that is the other thing that we thought was very important to bring up to you guys, because it's important to look long-term when it comes to a real estate business. Yeah, things maybe, we have 12% less sales right now, and maybe next year will be the same, but you guys aren't in this business for just 1 year or 2 years. This is a long-term business. And so some good news about the years coming ahead. 2 out of 3 millennials want to buy in the next 3 years, according to the latest surveys. Anybody know how many millennials there are? 72 million. Now, some of them may be married, buying as couples, whatever it might be. So don't expect 72 million sales, since we average only about a little over 6 million across the country. But the good news is there is a lot of people out there that still have buying on their mind, even with the rate changes that are happening and all of the economic talk that we hear out there. So broker buck for Josh for the 72 million. Well done on that. All right. Questions about any of those statistics?
I get a question, especially for millennials, who are scared to buy a house because the price like tank like 2008. How much objection we get. But since World War II, there's been only 2 recessions where housing prices have actually decreased. Okay. One in 1992, yes, we did have a recession. It fell here in 2008. But even in 1982, in the face of 20% interest rates, housing prices appreciated 1.9%. Well, you know, it's not a long term deal, it's not a short-term asset, it's a long-term asset, that's the point.
And I guarantee you, every person that held on to their property from 92 or from 2002, you know, to 2012, I'll guarantee you, if they held on to it, they would never have done it. Real estate can be a long-term deal.
Yeah. Repeat that for the.
Just that Jim was talking about.
Sure. So for those of you online, I'm speaking with Jim. So what Jim said is ever since World War II, there's only been 2 recessions where housing values actually decreased, and that was in 92 and 2008. Otherwise, even in the high interest or inflation days of the early 80s, we still saw appreciation in home values. Although it was small, it was still a positive number, and that's what we want, right? Great. Okay. Okay. Talking too much? let's talk briefly about this chart right here. We bring this up to help. Many of you have been through market cycles. Some of you have not. And the question that I'm getting from a lot of people is, hey, typically when there's less sales, we see agents drop out of our association. Is that happening? When is that going to happen? Are those part-timers going to step away? And so let's talk about that a little bit. So the blue line on the graph is the amount of money in the market. What did I say earlier about how much money is in the market compared to last year? Exact same. Thank you, Justin. Broker book for Justin. Participation program. I was going to bring a stack and just start throwing them out, but I'm sure Kelly has some.
I'll give them out, Jake, don't worry.
Thank you. Agents, the red line, so the number of agents in our market. Now what happens? We're probably slightly over. We are starting to see a little bit of dip in the money in the market. It says the exact same. We're starting to see a little bit of slip. What happens is then people still continue to join because they're not catching up on what's going on in the market until finally we start to see the money in our market start to slip, and that after some lag time, the amount of agents in our market start to disappear or go down. We start to see those people who don't renew at the end of the year. So as we hit bottom end of an upswing, and we start to see the market expand again, so here we're shrinking, and eventually after some lag time, the amount of agents shrink. Now we're expanding again, and the great thing about this is there's also a lag when agents join. Because you guys are already in there, all of a sudden this market picks up, they just can't join fast enough to really catch a lot of that upswing. This time frame is your time for explosive growth. There is the most money in the market and the least amount of agents. That difference is the largest, and it will never be any larger except for in that zone. So that's what we want to prepare you guys for, is when right now we're seeing things and we expect it to start to shrink for a little while. We don't expect it to be a long shrink. I don't know if that's a term even, but then we expect it to go back up, and we want you to be well positioned for that explosive growth. Right.
So what month and year will that be?
Great.
Crystal ball. Bring it now.
I think it is starting to happen now. I think the important thing to note about this graph and what I appreciate about it is agents got in when the money in the market, at least this past money in the market, 10 years, whatever it's been, where we've been on an upswing, right? Who got in after the recession when the foreclosures were starting to fade away and the market was becoming healthy again, right? And then we entered into this phase of it was really hard to work with buyers because there was no inventory, right? So the agents who were in the market where it was really hard to work with buyers with low inventory that are able to get through the lag time are going to be stronger in that opportunity zone, because you stick with it through that tough market that you've already got into, and then you go through the lag time and you wait for those agents to fall off that may be only doing 1 or 2 deals. You're going to be much stronger, I think, as an agent.
And I will guarantee you on that ride down, those agents' minds left the business long before they,
Sure.
because and their attitudes are reflective of that. So anybody who is here for the long haul, we can capitalize on this lag time as well.
Yeah.
There's plenty out there if you are a full-time active agent in this industry. There's plenty in all.
Absolutely. And this is the time to start being creative and making sure, we've always talked about being the expert, but how can you be creatively being that expert that stays through that lag time and then is able to build wealth?
You will never, ever be able to influence the real estate industry, but you will be able to influence your thinking about it.
Yes.
So bear that in mind as we go forward. Because not show fear, double down.
Yep.
Double
Tim
down.
said one important thing that I think was great, you will not be able to influence the industry. So but you are able to influence yourself and how you react to it.
Do you have numbers from our membership from like, it started 3 years ago till now?
I can pull those.
Yeah, just on a real quick cap, we've been gaining, I talked to the leadership at Briar, and they are shocked that we are having 30 to 40 people in new orientations every month.
Yeah, there was over 50 on the list for June.
So they're still coming in, and Julie said, it's a thing that she asked them on day one, why are you coming into the real estate business? And the reason is because they say the real estate market is so hot. But a person who's just coming into it really doesn't understand what that means. You know, and she tries to explain that to them, saying, hey, there's 1,000 sales this week, and there's 4,000 real estate agents. Where are you gonna fit? And that's why I said, a lot of those people, even right now, who will not be in the business by the end of the year, their mind is already left. They're already out.
It's a perfect segue. It's like we planned it, because that's exactly what we want to talk about next. Is what we do, how we think about the market, because there is plenty of business out there for us, for you guys not only to survive, but thrive through this. And it's all about standing out from the rest of those agents who don't understand what's going on in the market. So we are going to help you stand out from kind of the sea of sameness out there with the public. We're going to give you some things to help you with that. Not only the staff, but the strategy behind that. So, and it's important to talk about here's why, and to look at that graph. The reason why is in order to stay the same, or even to thrive when the market's shrinking, we got to grab more market share. You need to grab more market share for your business. So real quick on this graph, if these are markets over the course of a period of time, you see the market shrinking, you can see if you want to keep your revenue the same, you got to go from, say, these are just average numbers, whatever it is, not the scale, 25 to 32%. But the point being is if it shrinks, you got to grab more market share to stay the same, right? So it's not a matter of choosing if you want to grow or not. You have to grow in order to not let your business shrink. Now,
Remember, if you're coasting along, you might be going down too.
Yes.
perfect. That's exactly the analogy that fits with that. And so what we calculate right now, if there's a 12% decrease, and we've talked about this number before, a 20% market share is what you need to grab in addition to that. So we're going to help you do that today. And the reason is not only so that you get through this and thrive through this, but then when you hit an expanding market, the great thing about that is, as the market grows, you don't have to do anything to your market share in order for your business to grow. It grows right along with it. It's just that you have a bigger piece of that pie. So that's what we're going to get to today to help you build that revenue. All right, I believe our kiddos handed out all those sheets. Does everybody have one? Any more questions, comments before we jump into some tactics? Yes. You feeling good? Everybody's still on? Some good energy. We didn't bore you to death with all of that? All right. Okay, this will be very Brian Goofy style and how you can follow along, fill in the blank sheet, and then we'll have some more resources we hand out to you at the end. So first off, here's the 3 goals of these 5 tactics that we're going to cover. 3 goals. First one, land more appointments. Sounds so simple, I know, sounds boring even, sounds elementary, but the goal is more appointments because you know what? 80% the average out buyers and sellers of people go with the first agent they meet with. You can be 4 out of 5 just by being the first one in the door. That's an 800% batting average. That's how this works, right? So another 12% only meet with 2. So now you're batting 50, you're 50-50 on those shots, right? So get that appointment, and that's what we want to do, is help you land that appointment. We're gonna help you increase your market share by 20% with these. We talked about that already. And then we talked about the explosive growth. You guys know now when the market's gonna expand, how it expands, and how that all works. Sound like some good goals? Anybody want to increase their market share 20%? No? Okay, go. All right. I got 2. I got 2 on board. That's great. Speaking to you guys. All right. Number 1. We're gonna stop what's not working. All right. Here's how we're gonna do this. You guys won't be able to do all of this right now, but what we want you to do is take some time, make a list of all your sales. If you have a lot of sales last year in the 12 months, you can just do the 12 months. If you felt like you were a little slow and you want to go back further, get that list. You can pull it from the MLS. We'll help you pull it from the MLS too if you want. But we want you to write behind each one of those sales where that lead came from, where that sale came from.
Preface that by they should be doing this already.
Yes.
Should be doing this already. If you're not doing it already and tracking that, you should start.
So, and there's lots of great ways to do that. Rach and Josh can talk to you about how Pearl provides systems to do that through Work and Success. Caleb could show you that too. Lots of great ways to do that. But please be specific in this. If you just write sphere of influence on that, you're not being specific enough. I want to know like what activity, like that you connected with that person, or if you were doing certain things with them. Try to be more specific so you can see what activity you did, not just exactly where it came from. So that might be another way that you do it too. What activity produced this particular sale? Now, some is going to be showing up multiple times. You know, hey, that one came from this event I did. That one came from this event I did. Those open house contribute for them. Rank those lead sources from best to worst. We're going to keep the top 5 and get rid of those. What are we going to do with those top 5? Tim said, double down, right? Right? So for those of you who like to play blackjack, whatever it is, you're going to double down on those leads. Your most productive resources, or your sources for leads. So use them, pour more resources into them to really grow.
And by additional resources, you know, if that's monetary or time commitments for more Popeyes, whatever it is. Just remember that you can do those and don't feel overwhelmed with that. You can do that. You can allot, you know, $50 more out of your budget for one lead source, and then try it again, and then add more money to that once you have another closing from that source that providing some of that business. So don't get overwhelmed and feel like you have to pour a ton of money, but just do small things at a time.
Absolutely. And if you have a CRM that does this for you already, you're tracking that, then just pull that from your CRM and really take time to evaluate. Because the thing you don't want to do is to be wasting resources, time, energy, money, like Rachel's saying, on things that aren't producing for you. Anybody know at the top of their head that they want to share what some of their best actions were or activities for producing some sales? Nobody sold anything. That's good. Lefty. Oh, you're speaking loud for the camera, and I love it.
So she's in a softball league, and I go watch games and talk with their coworkers and their others, and close the deal. I met them 3 weeks ago, and got another contract last week for South of Europe. So
Perfect.
again,
Love it.
standard for us, people there. So,
Well done. Kayla, you got a broken buck for Lindsay on that one. Great work. So some unique networking there. I love it. Tim.
Consistency. Show up. That's exactly what she just said. Show up.
Absolutely.
Wherever that may be for you. You know, I mean, sometimes it's the coffee shop, working out at a coffee shop in the afternoon. I can't tell you how many times I sat there and waited for I knew, and the next thing you know, I have a listing. Everywhere I go, I'm sure the same thing happens to all of you, everywhere I go. The real estate market comes to conversation, everywhere. You know, and sometimes I'm tired of it, I admit that. But, you know, that's what we do, we consistently show up, and we consistently have a smile on our face, and we consistently are happy to talk about our challenges.
Perfect. And yeah, I bet you when somebody asks you about the market, you have an answer.
You bet.
Right? And you're ready
You bet.
for it and not taken by surprise because you're a pro,
Right.
and you're not surprised when somebody asks, because you expect to be asked.
And you expect to be asked, right? Exactly.
Oh yeah, Grover Buffington, he's building a stack over there. He's winning the auction. All right. Moving on to number 2, we are going to create direct and indirect offers. Direct and indirect offers. Now, what are these? And we'll talk about both of separate. And I'm going to invite Jeff up in a minute to talk about some direct offers that he can help you make, or at least message all around some products that they offer. So direct offers are for those who are ready for your services now. Somebody who wants to buy or sell right now. So some examples of these, and now it's very important that your offers and what you're messaging is pertinent to our market now, right? What's going on in the market now? It shows your expertise. So for example, did you know the number of homes on our market has doubled in the last couple of months? This might be your second chance. So this is maybe a message for those people who dropped out of the market, right? To get that home you really wanted. Simple dialogue, something that you can message to somebody, right? This is your second chance. There's more homes out there. It separates you from the others.
Keywords being second chance. Some people feel like they missed out on it and they're disappointed on it. So that reverses that disappointment to something positive. Second chance.
So, and an excuse to reach out to them. Something's changed, you're bringing new information. Number 2. So, did you know that you might be able to save some points, some percentage points on your mortgage rate? That'd be something you're interested in hearing more about. So Jeff's gonna come up here, I'm gonna invite Jeff up, he's gonna talk about the product, you can do that. And I'm not gonna talk to him about buying down points, but that's maybe another thing for a conversation afterwards about how that could affect. So another thing that you could, a direct offer for a particular buyer, like interest rates have definitely down the rise, shows you understand, that's that empathy we're talking about. Same with the previous one. Have you explored buying down points? Or maybe on the reverse side, if a seller who might
have a
get to the
house.
point,
Yeah, if you have a house that you have listed and that seller's not wanting to budge on that price, say they want $20,000 more, you think it needs to go down 20,000, they got an offer that was, $10,000 less than that, right? So to meet in the middle or to come together, you may say to your seller, hey, we could offer to this buyer X amount of dollars in concessions, and that buyer then can buy down points with that seller concession money, which could make a significant difference in their interest rate, which may make the seller not have to go down $20,000, but may help the buyer get closer to where they need to be for affordability and what they can afford each month with debt to income ratios. So does that make sense? It's a good conversation to have with somebody when you can't come together on a transaction. And it may be hard to explain to that buyer's agent, but you could always get your lender involved in that conversation to help with that. So,
Jeff,
going back to Aaron.
So, Jeff Tiver, Lake Michigan Credit Union, I've been lending in West Michigan for 17 years now. Let me just say that this information that you're getting today is unbelievably good. This is stuff that every single day I'm hearing, my clients are hearing and asking questions like this. The more you can kind of sound a little bit like an economist. I know it sounds boring, but it truly makes you stand out. Like you do stand out when you can quote statistics like this. You can say things like, where things could go without having some sort of a crystal ball. Be more like an economist nervous when speaking to somebody, especially on somebody who's really on the fence and scared. It just lends itself to some solid language that people feel confident that they can follow whatever it is they're doing. And that's what we're trying to do. Hey, if you're on the fence, there's other options. And so today I'm here to talk about the other option relative to an arm. You may have read in the Wall Street Journal, CNBC, a lot of what you're seeing in the marketplace today is there are other options to a 30-year fixed. 30-year fixed today at Lake Michigan Credit Union is around pretty close to this 5.75 number, probably 5.875-ish. And the arm is 4.75. So what that does is on the 300,000, 500,000, that's the price. So you're looking at a payment difference of, in my calculations earlier today, I used 300,000 and I came up with a payment of 1565 versus 1767. So it's $200 less per month. And once you add the PMI or taxes and insurance into the equation, $200 a month for 7 years.
If the buyer qualifies, are you doing seconds? I mean, we used to do like 80% first and 20% second to get somebody 100% finance.
Right.
So you can't quite get there.
Yeah, we can get to 97% financing right off the bat anyway. So I don't see too much.
But avoiding the PMI is the trick.
What's that?
Avoiding the PMI is the trick.
Avoiding the PMI is a trick. Also can be used in buying down if you have select sessions. You can do a one-time PMI. Where you're purchasing the PMI at one time and you don't have a monthly PMI. That's also available. The ARM product simply is just a lower interest rate. Gets you qualified for you're saving money. Knowing that we're probably going to go into a time frame of recession in the next 2 to 3 years if we're not saving in it, such that the rates that we're rising to combat inflation will probably come back down, meaning that you'll have an opportunity, probably if not certainly, to refinance an adjustable rate mortgage into a longer term 20 or 30-year fixed down the line. So now I'm not selling this product, right? I offer it as an alternative just to give them an opportunity to say, hey, the 30-year is this, the 7/1 arm is this, saving you $200 to $300 a month depending on your loan size. I explain the risks because it is an adjustable rate, right? So this is fixed for the first 7, but it can adjust after that 84th payment, meaning that I have to go through, hey, what would my payment be if the worst case scenario happened and now it's adjusted in month 85, 7 years down the road, and I haven't. So I'm very upfront in saying this is not a 30-year fixed mortgage. This is a 30-year mortgage, fixed percent, and that opportunity, to save money this initial time period. The statistics in my realm, in the mortgage side of things, is that we're writing 40% of our mortgages on this ARM product right now. It is big time. It's not just a few mortgages, it is a lot of mortgages people are using this 7/1. And just to know that it's available, it's out there, and people are asking for it because they know it's available. They're reading Wall Street Journal. They know that, hey, the rate's at 6.125% today, but this ARM product's at 4.75. Do you have it? So just having the ability to arm yourself with that knowledge when you're referring someone to a lender, just to say, hey, they're probably going to quote you the 30-year fixed. There are alternatives, and you could make sure that you know those alternatives relative to how that can affect the payment, and then how should I move forward or not?
In every one of your buyer's closing packages that contains a mortgage, there's an amortization schedule. And I'm going to challenge each and every one of you to learn how to read an amortization schedule. Because I have literally shown somebody how to take the 7-year ARM, pay off enough principal and interest in that first 7 years, that if they hit a worst case adjustment period, you're paying for these. Because
because they accelerated it for 7 years.
So when it adjusts, just so you know how an ARM works, is that, say you never refinance, you're still in the house 7 years down the road, and now it can only adjust 5 points higher than the initial strike price. So if you're at 475, the maximum that our adjustable rates that one could ever go to would be 9.75. So in my example earlier today, I ran it out for a client yesterday, actually, and we got to a point where 7 years down the road, this is how much he would owe. And now you're only have 23 years left. I mean, it's not 30, and now it's adjusted, and this payment went up by 2 months.
And it adjusts based on the amount of the actual note at that time. The adjustment,
Not
So-
the original
not
amount.
the original amount. So if you accelerate that first 7 years and get that additional point down in that, by that 7th year, that adjustment can equal nothing.
Correct.
And under the right circumstance, with the right savvy buyer.
So it's still a risk tolerance. Everybody has their own risk tolerance, and that's how I coach people through this. Everybody has their risk tolerance in investing. This is a similar risk tolerance in lending. Just like where if I could save you money now, for the opportunity this next short period of time that hopefully we'll go back down. But you have to decide for yourself, Mr. Buyer, that this is worthwhile and you can take on this risk and want to do this. And there's still quite a few people that are, I wrote a 30-year, I don't want to mess with it, and that's totally fine. It's just making sure that they understand it's available.
It's almost like saying that the hard conversation right up front with the average buyer. Jeff can save you this amount of money if you use this product. For planning purposes, what are you gonna save out of that money that you're saving now? So that if that adjustment happens, that you have enough money to pay for the remainder of it, right? And nobody's gonna do that, but it educates them on the seriousness of, like, if it does get to that point, you need to start planning early on. And you need to either refinance or you need to save that money now, or figure out a way to make more money in the future if it does.
And that's just it too, is that most people, they make a decision based on today. And they don't recognize, especially if they're young professionals, that, hey, we're doubling up, no kids, okay? What is our income gonna be like in 7 years? Possibly I could be, making significantly more dollars than I'm making today for a first-time homebuyer, such that none of this really is gonna bother me at all. I should, typically, you're probably going to be making more money 7 years out than you are today as a first-time homebuyer.
I tell a lot of people when we talk about this exact subject is your thoughts on it today are much bigger than the reality of it later, because you're much more concerned with it coming into it than the adjustments really going to matter to you 7 years from now.
So a tool in the toolbox, basically just another thing to provide insight and make yourself, look more expert-like, and just realizing that you're trying to move people from I'm not sure to I can do this, and that's a big thing to say. Yes versus maybe. You're trying to go for the yes. And this is another opportunity to make them feel more confident and comfortable with what that payment could be using this particular product. All kinds of stuff for them in mind. The seller concession thing is a big deal too. But for today, we'll stick with that. You guys have any questions on this?
Jeff will be available for questions,
Afterwards, too.
afterwards, and we're also looking at other options to have some more, small meetings with some people, Jeff and some others, either that can help educate you guys if you're not really familiar with the product or want more information that are specific to your clients. So thank you, Jeff, for being here. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Jeff.
And remember, the goal with that is even if they don't use the product, the goal is that you are goal number one, more appointments, right? So talk to them about that as an option, because some people may not even be or feel like they can't afford to be in the market right now. And so just offering that up may get you that appointment, may get you that client. So that's why it's a direct offer. You're looking for people ready now. Indirect offers, and we'll move quickly through these last few so that we get you out of here on time. Don't worry, it won't be a rush. They move quite quickly. Indirect offers offer value to those who need your help in future sales. So moving forward. So not right now, but these things are examples of home value or maybe neighborhood market reports that you share. Your Percy AI tool, formerly Buyside, it's a great one to be able to use for this. You can't quite see it because of the Zoom, but maybe it's your vendor list. Josh has a great example of a vendor list he shares with his clients every year. It's additional value, keeps them top of mind because I'm sure his clients reference that throughout the year and use his vendors who also then recommend jobs to those people, right? And then maybe it's home improvement information, all sorts of things for future help. Now, we have all sorts of ideas. We're not going to go through them right now, but if you scan this QR code, you will get this sheet of all sorts of ideas around direct and indirect offers. A lot of these you are doing already. It's just putting a fancy name to it so you will stand out. Similar to when we talked about our competitive advantage program, and there's a link on this PDF to that too. You guys offer a competitive advantage in lots of different ways. But just saying that, hey Brian, we offer a competitive advantage program for a really difficult market out there. Is that something that you would like to know more about? That sounds like, okay, yeah, I want to hear about a competitive advantage program in this market right now. So lots of ideas for things out there that you can message directly, indirectly to the different. Okay, number 3, we're flipping over to the back side. And if we have messages, we need to deliver them. So you guys are going to go through, decide what your messages are so that you stand out. I'm sure you all have great messages already, but we want to stand out. We're going to deliver them through marketing and prospecting. Here's the difference between the two. Lots of times we use those words interchangeably, right? Marketing is when you are doing something that causes the leads to come to you. This is your advertisement online. This is when you're sending out a postcard. Any of those types of activities. When you're prospecting is when you are going to get the leads. Now, everybody thinks of cold calling immediately for this. I mean, that is one possibility, but there are many others when you are going out to prospecting. And to help with that, we have a sheet on that too. But we want to use both marketing and prospecting. The most successful agents are not only putting out messages that cause people to come to them, but they're also going out and getting those leads. And so this QR code will bring up this sheet here to give you all sorts of ideas. And when you look at prospecting, it's not just cold calling or doing anything like that. It's networking. It's your customer parties. It's your open houses. It's door knocking. It's writing follow-up notes. It's all sorts of different activities.
Going to softball games.
Going to softball games. Having those conversations. Everybody get that code? Please follow me. All right, number 4. Time on task, in Tim's word, consistent. Very elementary, I know, and so you know what you did, but this is obvious. But we want to touch on a couple of things and give you just a little success story from somebody who did this to encourage you in this effort. So we know sometimes it's good just to have the reminder, right? So we want you to follow the prepare, action, and record method. And it's very simple. We'll go through that in a second and use the 1-4-1 timing method when doing this. So an example of that, take 20 minutes to prepare. So whether that's practicing your scripts, whether that's getting your materials together, setting up for whatever event that you're having.
And set a timer, because otherwise some of us get in the spiral going way longer because we just don't feel prepared. If we just take 20 minutes, focus time, set a timer, stop. Even if you're not like prepared in your mind, you probably are more than you think.
Well, great point. to stop preparing at some point and take action. So then take 80 minutes of action and then take 20 minutes to record what you learned to your CRM. Obviously, you do it 10, 40, 10, whatever it is, but the purpose is the majority of your time is on the action. The beauty of this, if you want to earn 20% market share in 3 days, it's probably going to get you there. 3 days of doing this, for that 20, 80, 20, 4 would be better. But 3 days out of the week.
How many of your friends are working 3 or 4 days a week?
Great point.
There are some in our brokerage that do it very well.
I'm saying
Outside of.
No, outside of real estate, no.
All right. Oh, my story. I forgot my story. So. Let's go through all these. You guys can all hit the. In here?
No.
Okay. Steve wrote
Well,
wrong.
maybe I'm.
He took this to heart. And he took a week and he made 100 phone calls to his past clients. The next week, 5 listing appointments. He has listed all 5 of those homes. Who wants to work for 1 week and get 5 listings the next? Does that sound good?
Yes.
Yes.
And the awesome thing about it,
Just to the broker buck, just
Yeah.
for that.
the,
Enthusiasm.
the awesome thing about it is those 5 people that he listed, none of them were the past clients that he called. They were all people that he just asked for business from, who were past clients who gave them a referral of somebody who they knew. So that increase is spear too.
It's a very simple, Justin, go
But
ahead.
I just have a smaller version of that.
Yeah.
That I would share. Maybe it'll turn into the same, but I just sent out about 100 those exact 50 letters,
Yes.
and that was tough because I hate asking for referrals directly. But I got an appointment for next week from someone who I sold a house 5 years ago. I stayed in touch with, but they never responded to anything. So one year next week. Right. What happens?
Awesome.
Love that story because you just never know who's paying attention. You may get no response from anybody for years, but they still may be looking at your stuff, thinking about you, and so doesn't mean you stop just because you don't get the response automatically. It's kind of like, oh, I went to the gym, I sent 1 postcard out, I got no response. Well, yeah, I went to the gym one time and I ate, grilled chicken for a day. Why didn't I lose a bunch of it? It's the same sort of thing, right? So, Katie.
I just want to say that because I sent out postcards to a neighborhood and was doing it pretty consistently. And then I fell off with COVID. But I got a listing this year from someone who kept my marketing pre-COVID. So I told his house and sold it.
Yes. Love it. Love it.
Even if you think it's not working.
Right. And Steve used a very simple message. It wasn't, and it was pertinent to the market right now and the reasons why to sell, and use some of the information I shared today. So we'll buzz through. We're going to get you here on time. Number 5, we are going to connect and close and ask for the appointment. I don't know where they get these statistics, but supposedly 67% of all meetings that you had, that all of us have with clients, or conversations, not necessarily meetings, conversations on the phone with leads or internet, don't end with us simply asking for an appointment. And that is on us. We need to ask for an appointment. It's not the client's job to ask for an appointment. It's our job to say, hey, I'd like to get together and be able to help you and see where you're at and see what you really need. And so we do that by connecting with curiosity. We have 6 great questions. 6, this is 4, this is 6, sorry. That we're going to share with you on a sheet that you can use to help connect with that curiosity. You're going to close for the appointment. Everybody's got a different personality type. Everybody wants to ask in a different way. 10 different ways that you can ask them for an appointment. Find one that's comfortable and fits for you. If you still can't get them to meet, then you cultivate them for the future. Put them in one of your systems that so many of you have, or you talk to Christy and she will set you up with a system that we'll knock out of the park for follow-up later on. Because remember, if we don't get an appointment, we really have believe. So keep that in mind. Okay, here's what you'll get if you scan that QR code. Those 6 questions and the 10 ways to ask for a meeting. Two more slides and you guys are out. Now, there's 5 tactics. How do we evaluate if we're being successful with these? And what do we do if we feel like it's not producing the results that we're talking about here? So there's 2 reasons why you may not be successful with these things. And it has to do with either your offering or your delivery message, or your delivery of the message and how you're delivering it. So you feel like you're not getting enough appointments generated from this, you need to ask yourself, does the offer that I'm messaging speak to the client's needs or whatever target client that you have? Are you speaking to their specific needs based off this market? That's that empathy thing that we talked about earlier, right? So evaluate that. If you feel it is, for example, if you're looking for listing leads and you're going, well, it's as good as buyer's leads, but whatever your message is, doesn't say a word about your expertise in listing, well, your messaging is wrong, right? Is your delivery message reaching the right audience? I want a higher price point. Well, use the chart, make sure you're advertising to the right areas. And are you reaching a large enough audience? Maybe you just need to grow that group of people that you're getting your message in front of in order to hit the numbers that you want. To follow through on those, for evaluating the results, take this 5 steps. Again, it's the consistency, so over time, and then evaluate. And then you can do the same thing we did, circle it all the way back to step number 1, look at where all of your clients came from. Maybe you do that on a 6-month or an annual basis and say, where did they come from? What activities produced it? Let's stick with the top 5, double down, and eliminate the rest. Questions on it? You like this strategy? Are these some tactics that you can use? All right, Kayla is going to pass out a sheet. All those QR codes, in case you missed it, are on the back of this sheet so that you can take it with. So you have all those sheets, as well as you have all of those charts that we showed at the beginning. We have a lot on the calendar still coming up this year, so we are excited for this second half of the year. We are excited to see how many of those 5,600 sales are going to go to all of you to build your businesses for the future. We're excited to hear about what type of offerings that you guys are going to create, how you're going to message them. And please do share those results with us. We love to hear those stories. They're inspirational to us and to all of your fellow agents. So we'd love to share the unique ways that you're being creative, innovative, and separating yourself from the rest, because we know in here we're all true pros. So, Tim.
You know, as we sit here and talk about the changing markets, it just brings me back to think about our thought processes while we do this. Because one of the biggest challenges I have in being a veteran agent is remaining relevant. And all of this information, Dave, helps me to see a path to that and to feel a little more confident in what can happen here. I've survived a lot of markets, a lot of different markets. And I look back at it and I think, boy, I don't want to do that again. But I cannot afford to have that fear. And a path like this is a clear path through a lot of that, because I watched a lot of people grow their businesses in those down markets. And I couldn't figure out how they were doing it because I wasn't changing gears in my own life. So that's really the biggest thing, you're ready to shift some gears here, guys. It's going to be a little bit of a shift, but if you're on top of it and you're consistent showing up, it's not gonna affect you. Go right through it.
Good advice.
Company calendar, we just always like to put it up at the end so you guys know what's coming up. We'll put in one last plug for the fall sales conference if you want to scan that on your way out. Otherwise, we truly appreciate each and every one of you, and we appreciate the time that you took to spend with us today. We hope you felt it was valuable. We hope you're pumped up, or hope you're ready to go out there and grab some more market share.
Good job.
And grab some food.
Oh, yeah, get some left out, yeah.
I figured it'd be all right.